Hey, hello, hello, peaceful living warriors. So nice to be here with you all today. I'm sorry I'm jumping in a little bit late, but honestly, it's the perfect topic for me jumping in late today, in that I was out trying to do the supermom thing. And today's topic is the myth of the supermom. So there's all sorts of stuff going on today that really shows that if we try to do too much, if we try to be everything to everybody, that we actually are going to suffer ourselves for doing that. So, for example, I started my day off this morning, 7:30 a.m., working on my kids' calendar for all of their band events and rehearsals and auditions and then I went straight into work and I taught a yoga class, which is great because that is such a wonderful thing to do as part of my profession. And then I had to run over to the school for my son's IGP, individual graduation plan. It's his first IGP meeting because he's going to be in high school next year. That's crazy. And then I had to run back here to do my Facebook Live video. So I'm trying to do the supermom thing. And sometimes you just end up running a little late. So I'm asking for people to forgive me for that. And I'm also being forgiving to myself because back in the days when I tried to be supermom, I put a lot of pressure on myself. And I ended up doing a lot of psychological damage, emotional damage to myself by trying to do too much. And then when I couldn't do it all, feeling guilty. So that's really what the myth of the supermom is about. That we try to juggle so many things as moms. And yeah, I'm sorry, dads, but this really is for the women out there. I know there's a lot of dads who are on board with this and they're sharing responsibility and they're helping out with the kids as much as the moms are. But there's something about the female socialization in our society that we tend to be harder on ourselves. And it's not just me saying this. Research bears this out, that when we're not doing everything, we lay a guilt trip on ourselves. When we put ourselves first, even if it's just to take a bath, even if it's just to go to a yoga class, we can then feel guilty and take that on ourselves as, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I was away from kids, or I am not at work or working on my business or whatever it is. So the myth of the supermom is a gift that I want to give to the moms out there who are trying to be supermoms. We're trying to do it all. And I'm right there with you. The thing is that I decided a long time ago that I was going to, and I'm going to say for the most part, take care of myself with peaceful living. And I'm usually really good about that. Now, why am I laughing at myself and saying for the most part? Well, because last week, and this is all part of it, the kids had been home for snow day, and they had been home because of winter break, and I was really behind on work, and I also had to take my mom at the crack of dawn to get eye surgery, and I still had to take Lena to her therapy. I ended up getting back into the swing of things with work and had some new clients. That was fantastic. I love that. But I didn't give myself a break during the day when I knew I was having clients at night, when I knew I had to take my daughter to therapy at night, when I knew I teach a nighttime yoga class. I just started at 7 in the morning and went straight through and ended up working 12 to 13-hour days every day last week. And then I was also getting ready for a workshop that I was supposed to put on Saturday. Now, supposed to. Well, because I wasn't following my own advice, because I wasn't taking care of myself, I ended up getting sick. That's why I'm sniffling today and I sound kind of stuffy. I gave myself a cold. I wore my body down. And I know better. Now, that said, I'm not going to guilt trip myself. I'm just taking better care of myself this week. I canceled the workshop and, well, no, I didn't cancel it. I postponed it. We're going to do it in a couple of weeks and it'll still be great and wonderful. And I took all day Sunday and just sat on the couch and watched football and watched Hallmark movies. And I ate all day long. got back on the healthy food wagon on Monday. But I did take it easy. And actually, the cold got a lot better. It's starting to get a little bit worse again, but that's okay. I'm sure it will make its way out. So there's the thing about the supermom. If we try to do it all, we do have a tendency to get sick more easily. And even if we're not in cold and flu season, or we're not exposing ourselves or suffering from this kind of sickness, we are actually making ourselves sick internally. I'm touching my belly right now. And what do I mean by that? I mean that stress, it hurts us internally. We know what stress does to our endocrine system, our hormones. And as I've talked about before, when I've done my blogs and vlogs about the weight issue, stress is actually, we're finding through new research, more harmful for us than this obesity epidemic that they're talking about. And honestly, there's a lot of people out there who are suffering from obesity as a malady, something that is making them ill because of stress, as opposed to people who have obesity and there's nothing physiologically wrong with them. So if we can get at the stress and we can take better care of ourselves, then we won't have these physical things going on that are giving us colds or hurting our pancreas. That's what happened to me from my early days of lots of stress. Again, why I do this as a stress management coach. So I really want to give this out to you women out there. Give yourself a gift that the supermom is a myth. So in my blog version of this, the written version of this, I talk about Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, and her first book, Lean In, and how she was encouraging women to lean in at the boardroom table, to put their careers first. And when I first saw the interviews, I didn't buy the book. When I first saw the interviews with her, I was just rolling my eyes because I'm thinking, she's not telling us something, because most women and men, but most women are not able to lean in and keep themselves healthy and raise two kids and not feel the effects of the stress of juggling that career and kids. So it did turn out that Sheryl said, after some criticism, she said, it's actually my husband. He does a lot of the child care. He is a wonderful, wonderful man. Now, I feel so heartbroken for her that she lost her husband. Oh, I'm forgetting how he died. I think cancer. And that must have been just tragic for her. But she also had such a heart for saying how grateful she was that he was there to help her while she was being super employee, while she was climbing the corporate ladder, that he was there as the main support system for the kids and their schedule. So again, it's not all up to us, ladies. We need to give ourselves a break. Now, you may be saying, well, Jen, my husband or the kid's dad doesn't do that, and I don't have the support of family to do that. And so what can we do in that case? Well, we may need to cut back on the kids' schedule. We want our kids to have everything in the world, and we tend to overschedule them. I'm right there with you. I mean, I used to say, okay, only one sport or one activity at a time, and that worked really well when they were young. So if you have young kids, don't have them in football and basketball and softball and track and everything all at the same time. Pick one thing at a time. That really does help, even though you want them to do all those things. you need to take care of yourself as well as them. I mean, you're teaching them to overstretch themselves in terms of their self-awareness, in terms of their self-care. But now, as my kids are older, okay, they're just in band, and band is crazy busy. So then what do? Well, then you parent share, you ride share, you take turns with the carpool. And same thing when they're little, help a mama out, and then she'll help you out too. And don't forget to ask for that stuff. Sometimes what we do is we offer, and we end up being the carpool, and we end up being the driver. And then we're like, well, why isn't this other mom or this other family doing any of the driving? Well, sometimes other families need to be asked. And a nice, mindful communication can really help along those lines. So, oh, hey, Ashley, I was just talking about baseball and the crazy schedule that we put our kids through with baseball, and how if we allow our kids to have one sport at a time, and we reach out to other parents to help with carpooling for those sports, we can then find time for ourselves. And that brings me to one of my favorite metaphors. And I use this with my coaching clients all the time. And actually, I use it with coaching clients not only who are moms, but also with my coaching clients who are in any different aspect of their lives. And sometimes we as wives will put our husband's needs before our own. Sometimes as daughters, we will put our parents' needs before our own. I am in what's called the sandwich generation, not generation, the stage of life that I'm helping take care of my mom at the same time that I'm taking care of younger kids, because I waited to have kids until a little bit later in life. So back to my metaphor. If we do not put the oxygen mask on ourselves first, we might pass out. So where does that come from? It comes from the airplanes, right? When you fly in an airplane and the flight attendant is giving you the instructions of what to do in an emergency, what does she say, or he? That person says, if the oxygen mask comes down, please place it on yourself before helping others, like a child or an elderly person who may need assistance. And why do they say that? They say it because if we don't oxygenate ourselves first, we might pass out, and then we can't help the other people. So that is such a great metaphor for parenting. That's a great metaphor for mothering. And guess what? I also think it's a great metaphor for our employment situations as well. Now, as an entrepreneur, I have more control over my schedule, so to speak. Being an entrepreneur is not as easy as it sounds. You have a lot of things you have to do, and as a solopreneur, I have to do all those things basically myself. I do have a virtual assistant who helps me a few hours a week. But again, like last week, I did not put the oxygen mask on myself first, and I ended up getting sick. So what we need to do as employees, as mothers, as business owners, as daughters, as wives or partners, we have to take a little time for self-nurture to help ourselves be emotionally and physically healthy. So here's my suggestion. I like people to make a list of things that help them to feel good. I call it your values and priorities list for my coaching program, but just call it my feel good list. And write down things that are easy to do in short amount of times, in a short amount of time, that you can build into your life to have a little joy, a little relaxation, a little self-nurture. Try to find at least 3 things you can do every day for yourself. That means taking at least 3 breaks a day during your work day as well. And by work day, you could be working for somebody else, you could be working for yourself, or you could be working for your kids, right? For the stay-at-home moms. Take 3 breaks for yourself. So I know with the little kids, you're like, oh, but when they're napping, that's when I have to do the laundry and get the dishes done. Right? The brain goes, no, no. Let the dishes sit for a moment. Take 10 minutes. Sit and relax. Read a magazine. Even better, do some guided meditation. I mean, that's what I do. For me, it's always about going to the mat, doing some yoga, breathing, getting some meditation in, and really even just 5 minutes of meditation, that's like taking a 20-minute nap. If you get 20 minutes of meditation, that's the equivalent of taking an hour nap. But really, it could be anything for fun. One thing I do want to caution against is social media. I don't recommend social media for your relaxation time. And that's where a lot of us are going these days. But social media does a few things that actually work against us in terms of our stress. One, the LCD, and I know I'm on a computer, but I don't spend a ton of time doing this kind of stuff. The LCD, it affects our eyes and it affects our brains. And it actually keeps our brains going a little bit too fast. So social media, being on the computer, not a good way to relax. The other thing about social media is that we can get caught up in the negativity that is a very prevalent part of social media. Particularly what I see is on Facebook. It is this place where people, they have the anonymity of the screen and they can be very negative. It's also a place where people are posting really great things, but it may make you feel like, oh, why don't I have that stuff? So I just think I'm not against social media. I just want people for their self-nurture time to go to something else. Maybe a walk, maybe giving yourself a hand massage with some nice lotion. I mean, there's all sorts of things out there that might help you to feel really good. But take that time to put that oxygen mask on yourself. So 3 a day. Then I also want to challenge you to build in one thing a week that will take at least an hour, if not longer. Maybe it's a nice hot bath if you like baths. Maybe it's a nice long walk. You know, if you're a gym person and you're going to the gym 3-4 days a week and you're doing the treadmill or the elliptical, slow down for that hour. Take a walk. Let it be outside if the weather permits. Even walking on the treadmill, but with a nice story or music on your headphones. But it's a slow down time. It could be going and sharing a meal with your best friend or your husband, as long as it feels good and uplifting. Sorry, I'm a little like, my husband and I went out to lunch the other day, and he basically didn't talk to me the whole time because, I don't know, he was tired or something. I don't know. But yeah, your husband, your partner, or even on your own. I love to go and have a salad and have a book and spend some time on my own, but that's because I'm a busy mom. The myth of the supermom. And then finally, I want you to find something even longer, a half day, a whole day if you can, to do once a month for yourself. And maybe that's going out with your girlfriends and going shopping and out to lunch, something just relaxing and fun. Maybe it's going to a yoga workshop. Maybe it's during the warm months going on a beach day by yourself without your kids. I know, how do we do that? Well, trade off with your kids' grandparents or your partner, their father, and have a day that you get to be by yourself and then another day that he gets to be by himself. There's all sorts of different ways that we can work these things in. So the myth of the supermom is just that. It's that being a supermom is a myth. And even though we may get a lot of satisfaction when we accomplish the supermom, there's times when we don't accomplish it. And there are times when by accomplishing it, we're actually harming ourselves. So give up on the supermom, be good to yourselves, and give yourself, sorry, we have a little concert in the back. Give yourself a break. So good to see you guys. Thank you so much. Your comments are always welcome. And please check in with the blog as well. It's on peacefullivingwellness.com/blog. And I love your comments on the blog. There are two of them. One is the full myth of the supermom, and one is just explaining the metaphor of putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. So I would love to hear from all of you, and tune in to my Facebook page for all sorts of affirmations and healthy living ideas. Thanks again, and namaste.